Hello and welcome to Yam Yam F1. Here we are after the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. You know, he's done it again, hasn't he? 10 wins in a row.
Make that 10.
He's a record breaker. It's a 10 out of 10 for Verstappen. And he don't look like he's stopping anytime soon.
To be honest with you, we all saw it coming.
Yeah.
So it's a record that obviously, you know, after his 9th win, you hear a lot about like 10's the big one, you know, never been done before and all of this stuff. Like, will it happen? And it's sort of like, will it happen? Like, it's obviously going to happen.
Yeah.
Like at this moment in time, that guy and that car, that combination, just can't be beaten.
Absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah. And it's a shame.
It is a shame. It's a shame for the competition. I mean, looking around at the rest of the field, and you actually have had some really good racing this weekend.
Really good.
You know, quite often this season, I've been able to sort of like space out really. When watching the Grand Prix, like you have like a good start few laps, you might have a safety car, then you have a good end few laps, and there's a sort of bit in the middle that nothing really happens. But I have to say this was a race of quite a lot of content, quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. I think there was a lot of drama.
Definitely.
A lot of locking up for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So it did add some entertainment factor to it. Definitely, I think I have a few people that I speak to at work and such about F1, and everybody's sort of on the same wavelength at the minute. That it's just, you know, the same guy wins every single week. It's just a bit, you know, you're sort of watching the F1 race, like the Grand Prix, to be like, who's going to finish second?
Yeah.
And it's just a bit of a shame because that's not what we watch it for. We
is.
want to see different people winning, different podiums. But this race had its moments that were just completely sort of thrilling, and you know, you couldn't sort of look away at this one. Like when you say that you've had a few where you could space out. This one, I don't think you could space out because there was so much going on. All the battles across the whole of the field were pretty intense.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think that we're probably looking at Formula One as sort of Lewis Hamilton fans, British racing driver fans, and when Lewis is absolutely dominating over the last sort of like 8 of the last 10 years or so, we're like, oh yeah, this F1 is brilliant.
Yeah, well,
But you have, I suppose it's a little bit contradictory when we go, oh, this is absolutely boring. This is when Red Bull dominate, because at the end of the day, like we've had quite a bit of good fortune over the last few years.
Yeah, we were spoiled. We were spoiled
definitely.
as British racing fans.
But I do think, as fantastic as it is to see for any driver to get 10 wins in a row, I mean, it's an absolutely phenomenal feat.
Unreal achievement.
Unreal. It would be nice if we can just... You don't need 11 anymore. He's broken record. Can we just have someone else, please?
Just give someone else a turn.
Don't make it Perez. Just make it someone else.
Just let someone else have a go.
But yeah, like you say, it was a race full of action, and I have to say, in that race, there was a significant challenge to Red Bull's dominance for a portion of it, at least.
Yeah. Carlos Sainz came into the room and he said,
Mom says it's my turn on the podium.
Max didn't like that though.
And, Max didn't want to share his toys. So after about 13 laps, he was like, psych! I'm just going to go on and win this race.
It has to be said, for Sainz, keeping Max behind for 15 laps is the best anyone's done this season.
I mean, I think it was technically 13 racing laps. I mean, we had action before the race even started.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
You know, absolute torture for AlphaTauri at the moment. They've had more drivers than they have actually had points. And
that's insane.
It's amazing. And like, they've actually qualified 11th and 12th. I mean, credit to Liam Lawson for qualifying 12th. And potentially, you know, if there's a bit of action, if there's a retirement, you think they could actually grab a point, at least have the same amount of points as drivers. But
that is an incredible stat. It really is.
Going back to the sort of Verstappen Sainz argument, that meant that the first 2 laps weren't racing laps; they were just sort of trundling round at sort of safety car speed, probably not even that.
That's fair.
But 13 laps is actually the most any opposition driver has been in the lead.
Yeah.
In any race this season.
Yeah.
Any non-Red Bull driver has been in the lead for any race this season.
Kept him at bay. And a Ferrari kept him at bay.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is like the last car I would have chosen if you were to say somebody's going to keep Max behind them for 13 laps. Who will it be?
Yeah.
I don't think Carlos Sainz would be in like my top 5 guesses.
Yeah. I have to say, this weekend Carlos Sainz has been absolutely staggering.
Quality, yeah.
All the way through, he's been treating it as seriously as anything.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Ferrari's home race, they brought big upgrades to the racing this weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's really paid off for him because Ferrari didn't look like they had a clue, quite frankly.
No.
Until this weekend, for a good few races before this weekend. And you know what? Full credit to them. They've really put up a challenge, at least for the first 15 laps.
Yeah, yeah. No, they had an amazing weekend, a dream weekend for Monza, really. Because obviously, if you want to get it right anywhere, you want to get it right in front of your fans. Do you know what I mean? It's huge. Definitely. It's huge for them. And it was huge for the atmosphere and for the crowd. To be honest, like it looked amazing there.
I have to say, watching qualifying on the Saturday, and watching Carlos Sainz get a pole position, in front of the Tifosi, that was like that was amazing. It was so good to see.
This is what I mean, because on a normal year, like that would kind of just be like, you know, that'd be a thing, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But because of like Max's dominance and stuff, we're just happy to see anybody else, like getting P1. So we were just absolutely like, you know, you're watching it and you're thinking like, yes, and you find yourself cheering. You're like, I'm not even a Ferrari fan, but like I love this.
I watch it. I was like, Leclerc's on provisional pole. I was like, oh my god, this is great. And Verstappen's got provisional. Oh my god, Sainz has got pole. I was like, absolutely crazy, absolute scenes.
But I mean, from the very beginning of the race, like you said to me before off camera about how like Monza like the first turn is like notorious because it's such like a tight turn, and especially at the very beginning of the race where every single car is going through that turn together, and it has to be said, like, incredible driving from every driver.
Yeah, definitely, and
because there was no contact.
This season where there's been starts that you sort of hope, like, you obviously never hope a driver crashes, but you hope that there's a couple of front wings broken or something, just to add a bit of excitement, maybe. Yeah. But like they've all, like, credit to them, got through it, no problem at all.
Yeah.
And like, full credit to them, that it just full credit to their driving, really.
Well, all it takes is one guy to be that guy. That just gets it a little bit wrong, and you cause like 4 cars to be like at the race, and like absolutely none of them got it wrong. They were just they sort of, it's moments like that where it doesn't seem like a big thing, but that's how you know that those are like the 20 best racing car drivers in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
That's when it really shows to you that F1 is the pinnacle of motorsport.
The level of quality is insane. And I mean, it didn't last long, that sort of uniform, lovely.
No, I will say, like, Verstappen and Sainz, they got a little bit fruity with each other, especially into turn 1.
Yeah.
What I will say is that Verstappen didn't land on top of Sainz's head.
I know what's coming.
In 2021, he landed on top of Hamilton's head, but he jumped out of this one like he should have in 2021. However, that is a completely different story for a completely different day. I am convinced that Verstappen drives differently with Hamilton as he does with any other driver on the grid, to be honest.
There's a bit of a rivalry there.
How much of it is Verstappen with a point to prove to Hamilton and a point to prove to everyone that he's got to beat the best to be the best?
Yeah. I think that's probably what it was at that stage. Whereas now it's kind of like a case of like he knows at some point in this race he's going to get in front.
Yeah.
So he's like, why would I do something like that now when I know? Because in his he's quite a cocky guy, isn't he? And I know in his head he's thinking
very
like
quietly confident.
Yeah, and I know in his head he's going like, well, yeah, Sainz is in front of me, but for how long? Because I know I'm going to win this race.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same as what we all think when we sit and watch it. We're like, how long before he... Like, Max thinks that too. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's testament to why he keeps winning, probably, because he's got that mentality of...
And I think it trivialises Max's ability a little bit. But Max made a career out of dive bombing, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know, he ignores the fact that he's incredibly quick, and he has been ever since he was a 17-year-old in F1, and that is the reason why he was a 17-year-old in F1.
Yeah.
He was driving in F1 before he even had a driving licence, like a normal driving licence.
Which is crazy.
So it does sort of neglect the fact that he's an incredible racing driver, but you don't see that from Verstappen anymore, or you don't see it half as much.
No.
That desperation, because he knows what it takes now.
Yeah. He doesn't need to be desperate purely because of like the piece of kit that he's got there that he's driving.
Yeah.
He just it's like obviously such a level above everyone else's car that he knows as long as he just drives how he knows, which is really well. Let's be honest. He is going to get in front.
And it's just a matter of time, isn't it? Even now, he's learning. He said in Baku that he made a load of adjustments when Perez won the race. And he seems to have learnt a lot from that about how to set up his car and how to balance that front end out to make that car even quicker than it was before. Yeah. I mean, in that result, you don't get the desperation from Verstappen. No. Like I would say about Charles Leclerc at the moment. I mean, what is going on with Charles? He's in a really, really bad patch at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that mentality that I spoke about with Max, somebody hasn't got that mentality right now is Leclerc. And he's trying too hard. Yeah. He really is. Like he's from last year, he's got something now where he feels like he has to live up to being this guy that like challenges Max and this guy that should be right up there with Max. Yeah. And that's all well and good, but you can't. I feel like he's putting too much pressure on himself to get there, and he's trying way too hard. And I think like this race more than anything proves that, and he's on sort of a steady decline at the minute. It's a slippery slope what he's doing, and if he continues being this desperate to get on a podium, and do you know what I mean? It's just not going to work for him. He needs to just get back to how he was before, which is like a really calm, collected driver. Yeah, definitely. With a really, really good intelligence for racing.
Yeah, really good racecraft.
And if he just brings that mentality back, I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine. But I think he's a young guy and everything. But he just needs to like calm down like a little bit.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and the thing is, obviously he hasn't got the fortune of winning a world championship. No, and he's lost a lot. He's had something like 20 pole positions, and he's got about 7 wins. Yeah, he's lost a lot of opportunities to score big, to win races, where realistically speaking, he should be winning races. He's made so many blunders this season. Yeah, he has. And I genuinely thought at one point he was going to take the both of the Ferraris out.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna ruin the race for Ferrari. And it would have been absolutely his fault because the engineer comes on the radio and he says, no risk now. It's the last lap. Sainz is in front of you. That's that. You've had your fun, because they had a couple of laps there where they were fighting and they kept locking up and stuff, and there was two very close calls. Yeah, and then he's being told now it's the last lap, mate. Just leave it. No risk. Yeah. Sainz is beating you. It is what it is, and he just doesn't listen, doesn't respond, says nothing, and just tries it again. Yeah. And he locks up the worst that anybody locked up all race, and genuinely nearly takes both of them out of the race.
Yeah, and there would have been the Mercedes to pick up the pieces. Yeah. For both drivers getting a 5-second penalty in the race. Yeah. And still finishing 5th and 6th.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think the Mercedes was on the pace of the Ferrari or the Red Bull all weekend, and realistically speaking, they were the 3rd best team. So for them to get 5th and 6th, especially considering they both had penalties, was a really strong weekend for them. I thought.
Definitely, yeah. I thought they had a decent race. To say like you said, they weren't on the pace. They were quite fast towards the end, but they looked really good. I do think that like it's things are sort of shifting a little bit now. Obviously not for Red Bull because they're all the way at the top. But like the other teams, like some weeks you've got Ferrari looking super strong, then you've got McLaren looking super strong, then you've got Mercedes looking super strong, then you've got Aston Martin, which with whatever is going on with the Aston Martin. It's just that I haven't got a clue.
They've gone like back into like nothingness again. They've just disappeared again.
I don't understand it. Like you like last race, like at the Dutch Grand Prix, like Alonso comes out with a worldy drive, does really fantastic. Obviously, like Lance is Lance, and then like this week, Alonso was just like nowhere.
9th place.
And I don't understand what's going on, because I was like bigging him up on here, saying like he's back and all this stuff, and he eats, sleeps and poos F1, and then he comes back in, you know, gets in that same car and just can't produce the same drive, and I don't understand it. I don't get it.
One car that would have definitely took advantage, and we expected it to, is Albon's Williams.
Yeah.
You know, that car in a straight line is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, Mercedes did well to battle it. I have to say, when Hamilton got his 5-second penalty, I thought he's not getting in front of...
No.
Even if he gets physically in front of Lando Norris, Albon, he's already in front of Alonso.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get 5 seconds to clear of everyone. And he just completely just shot past a lot of them and just went off into the distance.
Yeah.
So... actually, maybe the Mercedes is a bit faster than we thought. But we both said that Albon was going to have a good weekend this weekend. And
I think
he finished 7th. He finished really strongly.
Yeah, I absolutely love that driver. I love Alex Albon.
Yeah.
I think he is just insanely good. I think he's a top quality driver. I think he didn't get a fair shout at Red Bull, but I think he's gone to Williams. I think he's really showing his prowess. He's really showing what he can do. And I do believe that there are bigger things on the horizon for Alex Albon.
I think especially with Hamilton extending his contract by 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, where do you see Albon going upwards? If he's to move upwards to a team, where do you see that upwards move happening? Because I don't think... apparently he's already rejected Red Bull.
Yeah. I mean, speaking personally, just because I you know, I'm big into Aston Martin. I'd say I'm an Aston Martin fan.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him take that seat next to Alonso. Obviously, there's complications there, what with the whole father-son dynamic going on.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But that is something I'd like to see. Ferrari, perhaps, could be a good destination for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because McLaren, they've got a team for, like, the future.
Yeah.
You know, realistically speaking, the only thing missing in Ferrari is a successful car.
Yeah.
They have got two drivers who, on their day, can pull every fibre out of that car to win races. I mean, Sainz won a race as well. To win races and to really sort of challenge the rivals. But, I mean, obviously, the Ferrari strategy is also one of the factors which has stopped them winning so much. But
that doesn't help them out.
Doesn't help, but then, I just can't see Albon moving somewhere like Aston Martin. I would rather stay at Williams at the trajectory they're on.
Yeah.
In the hope that actually, you know, they've got more testing time and, you know, one day they're going to be...
Back up there.
And you never know, he might go to Aston Martin in Alonso's seat when Alonso retires. Yeah,
I think like, obviously currently if you look at F1, I think obviously if you've rejected Red Bull and you don't want to go back there, which is fair enough, I can understand why, then I think like your options to upgrade from Williams at the moment are like McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes. Yeah. And anywhere else really is like a sideward step. Yeah, it is, yeah. I think he'd do okay in an Alpine, but I don't think the Alpine's as good as the Williams at the moment. No, so... I think the Alpine is very temperamental, isn't it? Yeah. And they, realistically, they've got a really solid, stable team now. Yeah, they have, yeah. Ocon's not going anywhere anytime soon. He had like a 6-year contract, didn't he? Yeah, he did, yeah. Gasly's only just signed, and realistically speaking, are you getting that much extra out of Albon compared to Gasly? I don't know. It depends, doesn't it? Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think, like you say, the only the realistic choice is for him to stick with Williams and hope that they can get back up there where they belong. Yeah, I think we're all in for any non-Red Bull fans anyway. I think we're all in for a bit of a rough ride over the next couple of years. I think at least until a bit of a
a bit of a change in what do you call it?
Until we get like another silly season or even regulations.
A bit of a change in regulations, and then obviously from there on, we might actually see a little bit more competition.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, Ferrari is a constant cycle of F1 is a constant cycle of one team dominating.
Yeah.
You know, you got McLaren in the late 80s, you got Williams in the 90s, you got Ferrari in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Red Bull in the 2010s, Mercedes, and he's back to Red Bull again. And the thing is, it will be a constant shift.
Yeah.
You know,
agreed.
I think gone are the days where you've got 5 teams all racing for victories and really battling it out. But with these regulations to improve the competitiveness, there's a really competitive midfield at least. I think we can live in hope that one day, you know, we have got 5 teams racing for victories.
Yeah, and well, it has to. I mean, Max. I know Max Verstappen watches this.
Obviously,
yeah. So
all the drivers watch our videos. So.
Just come here, Max. Just leave it at 10 now, please, mate. I don't think you need any more. Personally.
Yeah.
Cheers, pal.
I'm getting bored on Sundays. Please, Max, help me.
Make my Sundays fun again, Max.
So, on that note, a record-breaking Max Verstappen absolutely smashes records out of the water with 10 race wins in a row.
Big one.
He's looking more unstoppable than ever. So that has been our podcast for the Italian Grand Prix.
Yep.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.